Testing, testing. 3, 2, 1, go. Hi everyone, it's Nono here. This is one more live stream, and today is a bit of a special day. It's Friday. I usually do live streams on Thursdays, and today we're going to record a Getting Simple podcast episode live. What this means is that I've prepared some content, we're going to record it, and this will stay in the live stream, but I'm also going to edit that and release it on the podcast network, Getting Simple. So gettingsimple.com/podcast. I think everything is sounding good from my end. I think everything looks good. We do have the camera set up here, and we have the preview here because we're going to be showing things on screen. That way we can also upload this to YouTube as a video, not only to the podcast. All right, so let me just make one last check, and you guys can write on the channel. It seems like the stream health is now good, so it's working better. And I'm just going to put a message here on the live stream. Today, podcast, so Getting Simple, let me see, podcast recording live. All right, so that's good. And it seems like everything is working. So I'm gonna also record locally. So we might see some lag today that usually don't see, but this is just a test. All right, so let's get started. Yeah, it seems like there is no lag. I'm recording already locally. Okay, let's try to do that again. The following is a little story that I wrote titled It's Nice. The following is a little story that I wrote on sketch.nono.ma titled It's Nice to See You in Person. I'm offered to choose between poulet avec polenta and another meal I don't quite understand. Chicken or what? I ask. Chicken or pasta with tomato sauce, says the flight attendant. I go for chicken and a tiny bottle of water. I'm watching Spielberg's AI Artificial Intelligence for the first time. A 2.5 movie amidst my 9-hour Air France flight from Paris to Atlanta, where I'm traveling for an annual work conference that was reduced to Zoom meetings and online recordings over the past 2 years. Needless to say, because of the pandemic. Hey, it's Nono, and this is the Getting Simple podcast. At the end of January 2020, right before the COVID outbreak started, I walked around the same Charles de Gaulle airport terminal I boarded today's plane, spotting the first surgical face masks I had ever seen worn in public due to coronavirus. 2 or 3 people, amongst the early adopters that would be dubbed paranoid by some, were already taking measures to protect themselves and others from what was to come. Nobody knew what was going on. Sanjay sat next to me on our way to Toronto, wearing a surgical mask out of precaution. But as far as I recall, nobody else on the plane wore face masks. Cases worldwide started to arise, 2 at a time in Toronto, and pharmacies went out of masks. Today's image of Charles de Gaulle's airport was radically different. While wearing face masks in closed public spaces has been mandatory, the requirement was recently lifted in some European countries. Yet the airport featured dozens of mask types, the most common being light blue surgical masks. Some travelers and airport workers opted for no mask, others wearing it, and the third category of people wore it without covering their noses. I'm sitting on aisle 42D wearing a surgical mask, and while it's still mandatory to wear masks on the plane, it's a soft measure. Life in Malaga, Spain is slowly transitioning back to normality, a new normal with social engagements that let us momentarily forget about the pandemic. Some still opt for wearing masks outside, even when walking entirely on their own. I can't avoid feeling a sense of risk when around my loved ones, especially the elderly. Now we're immersed in a new global crisis, Ukraine's invasion, and news of coronavirus outbreaks in China and other countries make it to the local news every now and then. Will those strains spread? The plane jiggles, and the crew announces an area of strong turbulence. I realize this trip will be my first in-person public speaking engagement in years, and a chance to meet people I work with for the first time without staring at a webcam to emulate eye contact. In fact, as I'm doing right now. The virtual-only approach we've had for the past 2 years has been challenging and presented new opportunities. At a company level, travel was restricted and everyone had to transition to working from home. I got to livestream and figured out how to produce high-quality remote recordings and tutorials both for the podcast and my machine learning or machine intelligence video series in a home recording studio. The virtual ways are here to stay, but I look forward to interviewing podcast guests in person to regain the connection that Zoom conversations lack. When you close Zoom, we're back to your life. When you close Zoom, you're back to your life or your next call. But in-person gatherings often lead to a meal or walk together and unstructured chit-chatting, something that can feel like unnecessary busyness over Zoom. Satya Nadella, Microsoft CEO, suggests that effective remote collaboration relies in part on social capital, which, as reads a New Yorker piece titled How the Pandemic Transformed the Office Forever, accumulates by working in the presence of others and depletes during virtual interactions. We actually need to work and collaborate in person to build social capital, but this isn't a possibility in specific remote roles. How does remote only affect our well-being, our ability to socialize, and our work? As we near our destination, the crew gives us a little red bag that reads Bon Appetit, with items that look like breakfast and include, among other things, 2 warm pieces of cheese bread, a muffin à la myrtille, a pain viennois, and a bag of cherry tomatoes. I've been typing this essay on my phone for the past 2 hours, and I don't remember the last time I spent 9 hours in a row off the grid, on airplane mode. Ouch. A cabin crew member hits my leg with a rolling metal container. I hope you enjoyed this longer story format. Let me know what you think. I'm really grateful for having the opportunity to work remotely, travel for work, dedicate time to my passion projects, and be with the people I love. I'm ready for mindful, sporadic work travel and excited to meet you in person soon. Waiting in line to check at the hotel, I overhear employees greet each other and they say, Waiting in line to check at the hotel, I overhear an employee greet another colleague saying, "It's nice to see you in person." So that essay I wrote on the plane on my way to Atlanta, and this other one I wrote and published when I was back from Atlanta. Last week, I found the time to write an 800-word essay on my plane. Last week, I found the time to write an 800-word essay on my plane to Atlanta. where I would spend 5 days for Autodesk's annual Internal Technology and Experience conference called TechX, hosted this year at the Hilton Atlanta Hotel. Kian Womsley wrote about the event on his blog. I tried to sleep on my way back to Spain, skipping dinner to avoid jet lag as much as possible, but that didn't really help. It was great to meet friends and colleagues I've been working with through a screen for the past 2 years, especially people from the Spacemaker team who work out of Boston and Oslo. I loved presenting in person to share my team's most recent project and learning about the work of other Autodesk teams. Even though the gist of the conference are these talks, the most important moments were the breaks: breakfast, lunch, and evening events. Also the time in between talks. Not for the food quality, but because we got to mingle and gossip. In those moments, we restored a bit of our social capital. Thanks so much for listening. We'll see you next time. All right, so that seems like it worked. I didn't drop any frames, and I think we're good to stop the recording now. This went live, and that's it. So I've recorded this podcast episode. Remember to like the video if you enjoyed it and you want to support the work that I'm doing here with the podcast and the YouTube channel, and to subscribe if you want to get notified when I upload new videos or when I go live next. Thanks a lot for watching. You can join us in Discord as well, and I'll see you next time. All right. For those of you who are online, thanks a lot for being there. I'll see you next time, and leave your comments. Let me know what you think, and also you can comment on the Discord server. Bye.